Hi there, it's me again. I've got my shit together and I'm recording on a Tuesday like I'm supposed to. It's been an easier week, thank heavens. So I thought I would get on here and do a quick story time. Quick little preamble because I like to do them, and this is my channel and I'll do what I want. Again, thank you for indulging me. So I know I've been talking about it a lot, but we're still trying to drudge through the X-Files, and oh my god, it's bad. It is so bad. And this is weird because I'm not hard to please. My husband might have opinions about my saying that, but I'm really not. You know, in The Office, when Steve Carell left the show and they started going through all that wacky crap, I still loved it. I loved that show to the very last episode. I am not picky. I really enjoy just good, fun storytelling. And it has gotten absolutely ridiculous with the X-Files here. And I'm wondering how they're going to pull this together, because from the beginning, where, I mean, most episodes they're ignoring the fact that Scully's supposedly pregnant. They're not talking about it. How did she get pregnant? I know that in the canon of the show, this child is supposedly Mulder's, but when did they have sex? Is this going to be one of those weird things where she's artificially inseminated by aliens and we find out later? Why does she keep having these problems? That means that she's not in the show that day. What the fuck is going on? It's bad. Also, just the quality of the storytelling is just really, really, really gone down. You know, another show that I noticed, because I have to wonder, did Chris Carter kind of, like, he was the show's creator, and I have to assume that he was part of the writing process, you know, in the beginning. So did he take a step back and do more of a producer thing and not have so much a hand in the writing, or what? Because there's another show where that happens, and it's a big show, Family Guy. I know you can feel lots of ways about that show. It has not aged well, and I think it's easy to forget that show's been around for a really long time. And I think that it lost a lot of its heart and its personality when Seth MacFarlane became less involved in it and was just basically the voice of everybody. Because, you know, suddenly Lois and Peter weren't really getting along. They were just staying together for Stewie. They started losing characters. There was a lot of the personality that got lost. And the reason why I'm thinking of this, I'll tell you in a minute, but I noticed that it happened too with American Dad. American Dad is a show I like much more than I like Family Guy, but I loved Family Guy when it was doing its original run, before Fox really took over, really started seeing value in it as a property. And the writing just, you know, there is a limit to the entertainment value of provocative, where you're just trying to get someone's goat by being over the top. Then it's not entertaining anymore. I can see that you're trying too hard, and that's what happened with American Dad. No, Family Guy, excuse me. But it did happen too with American Dad. It is still running. Is Family Guy, are they still currently making new episodes? I checked out, I don't know. But American Dad is. And that show was delightful. You know, it was one of those over the top things, but this family, for all of its flaws, for all of the, you know, the narcissistic tendencies of the family members, they still loved each other. They were still very interested in being a cohesive unit. And you could see that there was a point when MacFarlane stepped back from the actual creative process of it and just became a voice, that they started doing the same damn thing, where the family unit was only for decoration at that point. They didn't sincerely love each other anymore. And why do they keep doing that? So, also, have you watched The Orville? A little over the place, but I liked it. I was into it. I liked it. The reason why I'm stuck on MacFarlane is because a few years ago there was a phone game for Family Guy. Now, I'm not a game person. I will occasionally play video games because my husband is a video game person and he likes to play video games together. So I will do that with him every once in a while. It is a sacrifice that I do. I definitely have better things to do with my time. It's not my favorite thing. And he and my sons, they cannot relate. They do not understand how I am a living, breathing creature walking this earth, not living every second in order to get to my next opportunity to play a video game. It's just not my thing. So when I find a game that I like, it's kind of momentous. And it's not, I don't know, it has to just reach all the right itches. You know, I don't like a whole lot of new games because they very much want a lot of your time. You can't sit and play a game for a half hour, 45 minutes, and then walk away. You don't accomplish anything in that time. And I can't do that. I don't want to do that. That sounds terrible. But, you know, I really liked the first Sims. Not the, when it became online. This was when you had to buy the discs. The Sims, the original one with the pixels and everything. I love that game because, first of all, I can get lost in the repetitive tasks of it. And it's got that music, you know, when you're in build mode, it's got that really great piano music just playing in the background. I really liked Roller Coaster Tycoon because, again, it's the same thing. It doesn't have the same wonderful music that the Sims have, but you get lost in tasks. I really like having the theme park running and supervising everything. And, you know, it was a point of pride for me to be able to win the cleanest park in America prize. So I would have, you know, all kinds of handymen and they would walk around and everybody pukes in that game. Admittedly, I haven't spent a terribly huge amount of time at theme parks. I don't like crowds and I don't like waiting in lines. Ergo, I don't really like theme parks. I've been to a few, you know, when I was a teenager, we went to Kennywood a lot in Pittsburgh. If you know Pittsburgh at all, Kennywood is a big thing, a big deal. It was when I was a teenager, especially. I've been to Disney World once. I've been to Idlewild twice. I've been to Hershey Park twice. I'd rather not, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody puke at one of those places. Maybe I'm lucky, I don't know. But in Roller Coaster Tycoon, it's puke everywhere. So I found this game. Wow, I went on a bad tangent. I'm sorry. So I found this game today that is an American Dad game that's a lot like this Family Guy game that they had a few years ago that I loved. I was obsessed with this game, but I kind of reached the end of what I could do with it without constantly needing to spend a bunch of money. But I played it. I mean, as far as phone games go, playing a game for almost a year, that's a long time. And they made a similar one for American Dad, and I just found it today, and I've been, you know, kind of going around doing my chores, doing my thing, helping the kids with school, and, you know, sneaking off to get a few more alien clones, win a few more battles, update a few more rooms, and it scratches the itch perfectly. So I'll be holding on to this one for a while. I'll have McFarlane on the brain and Paul Lynde a lot as well, because that's very obviously who the alien character is based off of. And I loved Paul Lynde, his character in Bewitched. So yeah, that's what I've been doing today. But I am here for a reason. Let me get to it. We've been doing this for almost 10 minutes. I'm sorry, that was a heck of a ramble. But it is the Tuesday before Halloween. It is on Saturday this year, which is awesome. I have already mentioned I'm going to be making treat bags and setting them on the porch so that people can take the candy. There's no contact, but we still get to hand out treats. And I think we're going to stay in our pajamas all day, sit on the couch and eat and watch scary movies all day. And that, my husband and my kids and me, that's our dream day. So that will be wonderful. But I thought I would come on here and tell a ghost story. A true ghost story. I should probably get this out of the way and admit to it up front. I am a believer. I believe in ghosts. I've had several experiences in my life. I believe I have lived in 2 haunted houses. Not currently. thank goodness I have hysterical men living with me. But I have, I've had experiences, and I want to tell a story about one that happened to my husband. We'll have to do a sort of prologue to the story to, tell, and then I'll tell the story itself. So, after my parents divorced, my mom bought a house, and she bought it for $20,000. That's low even for where I'm from, in a poverty place. And this house was interesting. The lady, it was owned by one previous owner before she had built it, and she had added on to it, and you could tell the add-ons because you would have to step down into a room. There was one room where, I'm 5'6", I'm very average height, but I could put my hand on the ceiling of the living room. It was so low. But it was the kind of place, it had no hallways. It was just rooms stuck together. And I don't know if I'm explaining that well. So, okay, you go into the front door and you're in the living room. You go from the living room to the kitchen. The kitchen has 2 doors off of it. One door leads right into the dining room, and the other door leads into what was at first my little brother's room, but then my mom had turned into like a TV room when my brother reached his teenage years. Didn't want him, needing his private time right next to the kitchen. Now, if you go into the dining room also had a door into what became the TV room, but it also had these open archways that you could go into a room that my mom used as her bedroom. So you could be sitting at the dining room table looking at my mom's bed. If you were in the TV room, you walk, there was a door that led to the attic where my brother moved up to. And then you go straight and there's the bathroom. Very, small bathroom. It didn't have a shower. I spent my teenage years always having to take a bath. It was a big bathtub. It was one of those gigantic cast iron bathtubs. So it was actually quite nice. I missed that bathtub because here my bathroom only has a shower, and my boys' bathroom has the bathtub, and I'm not using that bathtub. No way. No way. And then off the bathroom was my bedroom. So it was just these rooms attached to each other. You could get from my bedroom to my mom's bedroom through a door, and it was a really weird layout. And this house was just different. And it was a very modest home, to be able to do the laundry, you had to go out the front door, walk down the sidewalk to the garage, because you couldn't get from the inside of the house to the garage. You had to go outside and go around and get to it. So you would have to carry your laundry down this sidewalk. It's West Virginia. We're on hills. You have to walk down this sidewalk into the garage, through the garage into where the laundry was kept. And there was an old cellar. It was, I guess, if you were delicate about some things, you could consider it creepy, because it was built into the hill, and it was all stone. And it was, when it rained, the walls would weep just because of it was built into the hill. So there was drains in the floor and stuff, but it did look like a place, where you might keep jars of heads and stuff. But the house was interesting, and it was haunted. It was haunted by the woman who built it. Now, my mother, when my younger brother was still in high school, found love and decided she was going to pick up and move away to be with this new man. And my then fiance, he's now my husband, he and I decided we were going to take over the house. We were going to just take over my mom's mortgage. And honestly, to take over the mortgage on this house was less than what we were paying on the place we were living in Morgantown, where WVU is, where we were going to college at the time. And really, like, any way to pinch more pennies was a good thing. And, somebody needed to come and take care of my brother. So we took it over. And as we were, moving in, I was telling him, my parents, this is important. My parents divorced when I was 11, I think. And my mom bought the house when I was maybe 12 or 13, maybe 12. And so I was 20, maybe 21 at the time when we took over the house. So it had been 10 years essentially since, I spent my teenage years there. I'd lived there for years and years and years. We'd cleaned it. We'd, switched rooms. We'd changed furniture. This house was lived in. You need to know this because I was telling my husband as we were moving in our stuff, cleaning out stuff, this house is haunted. And it's haunted by the woman who built the house. And, oh, I can't remember her name. I can't remember her name. And it was really bugging me because I really should have known this woman's name. I'd heard it a billion times, seen it on papers. She still received mail sometimes. She still received the occasional card with pictures of someone's grandchildren in it. And I can't remember her name. I can't remember her name. And it was really bothering me. And it was snowing outside. So I was going to take a load of laundry downstairs to do it. And I was outside and I was walking down the sidewalk and I saw something sitting on the sidewalk on top of the snow. And I bent down and picked it up. And it was one of those, like St. Jude's Hospital sends those stickers of the return address. It'll have your name and your address. And usually it'll have like a little decoration. It was one of those. And it was a poinsettia. So it was like one of those return address Christmas ones. And it said her name, Mildred Fleming. And I picked it up. I dropped that laundry basket. I stomped back in the house and I was like, her name was Mildred Fleming. And she's mad at me for not remembering her name. My husband is not much of a believer. He's open to it. But if he doesn't see it with his own eyes, he feels that he can't give a definitive statement on it. And that's fine. I totally understand he doesn't offend me by not believing it. He offends me a little bit if he were to tell me I was you're a goddamn liar, which he's never done. But I showed it to him. Her name is Mildred Fleming. And where did you find that? Was it downstairs? Or no, this was lying on top of the snow in the middle of the sidewalk where you could not walk over it. You saw it plain as day. He was still not convinced. He knew her name. Big whoop. No. And that started, we lived in that house for 2 years, maybe a little longer, but not much longer, before we moved across the country. And, we got my brother graduated from high school and then got out of there. We lived there for that time, and it became obvious to me and to my mother-in-law, actually, that this Mildred, she did not like my husband. She did not appreciate being doubted. And we did a lot of extensive work on this house because my mom was a single mother and she was working a job that, frankly, it astounds me that she kept a roof over our heads and food in our mouth when I learned how much she was making a year. So when it came to fixing a leaky roof, when I tell you this house is old, I mean it. It was heated by gas stoves, big cast iron gas stove in the room my mom used as her bedroom. It wasn't cast iron, but it was still a metal gas stove in the living room. And then there was a small one in the bathroom. All the other rooms, that had to heat the house. All the other rooms were not heated. So there was no heat in my bedroom. There was also no insulation. My bedroom was right over the garage, and there was no insulation between the garage and my bedroom. So when I would get sick, I would have to go and sleep on the couch in the living room because there was just a constant chill and draft in my room, and I couldn't kick the sickness that I had. So this was not something that was even remotely in my mom's budget to deal with. You needed a place to be able to sleep and wash, and that was it. And my mom provided that for us. So when we moved in there, we had to replace the roof. We replaced a lot of the water pipes. We made it nicer. And something about all of that movement with the house, because my mom didn't change anything. It was still essentially Mildred's house when my mom lived there. When we moved there, we changed everything. Tore down wall. Did we tear down walls? We tore down the ones that were rotten and eaten through by termites. I still have nightmares about termites. And it seemed like it stirred her more because she was much more active when we lived there than she was when I lived there as a teenager, when my mom was there. You would get the, you could see her out of the corner of your eye, peeking around a corner at you. You could hear a rocking chair on some of the hardwood floors. There was one room where you knew she was most of the time, and it was the dining room. It had been her sewing room, and you could still see imprints on the walls where she had had shelving with all of her stuff in there. That was her room, and it stayed that way. But when we lived there, you know, we were stirring stuff up. We were, what's the word I want? We were disturbing things, and she did not like my husband. So he would be working on something, and you know, you're on the floor and you've got your stuff around you, and he would have like a screwdriver, and he would be working on something, and that screwdriver would disappear, and it's just him in the room. And he would get up and he would, you know, look around him. Where's my screwdriver? Where's my screwdriver? He would go to other rooms. He would, you know, call me, hey, can you come help me look for the screwdriver? And, you know, we would go back into the room, and it was right where he laid it. If this happened one time, I could chalk it up to my husband being a little bit flighty. My husband is a little bit flighty, as we all can be from time to time. This would line up with how he can be. If it had happened only one time, I would not remember at all. The thing is it happened all the time. All the time. But the best time was when it happened with his slippers. Now remember, no insulation, only a few gas stoves to heat it. This place got cold in the winter. You did not walk around this house without thick socks, slippers, and a real thick sweater. So he had this pair of slippers that he kept right by the bed. He was, it is dry in here. He was very, very, very careful to always keep his slippers by the bed, just because he hates having cold feet. It is like the worst thing that could happen to this man is his feet get cold. And he gets up one morning and his slippers aren't there. He assumes I've done something, you know, starts grilling me about it. I didn't do anything. I don't have your slippers. And we looked everywhere. We tore this house upside down looking for his slippers. And we never found them. Just never found them. A year later, we were making plans to move. We were making plans to relocate to Washington State, Pacific Northwest. And I was teasing him, you know, about Mildred being like, oh, you're gonna, you know, be bored living with only one woman now. And he was like, yeah, well, and I was like, do you still not believe in her? And he was like, well, some things have happened that make me think maybe she's real. That was all he gave me. The next day, his slippers were by the bed. I can't explain it. He couldn't explain it. And if I thought he was messing with me, he was very unnerved by this. I thought it was funny. He did not. He was very unnerved by this. I mean, disturbed. So any question that I had of him being Mr. Prankster, trying to pull one over on me, went out the window by how upset he was by this. And he was very sure that I had done it. So, you know, if you feel that you live in a place with a spirit, maybe show them a little bit of respect, or you'll lose your slippers for a year. I know this was silly. I've had some, honestly, most of the experiences that I've had, and it's really only a handful, they've all been very benign. There was one situation that was scary, but that one, it's still funny to me. My husband looks back on it and laughs now, but I mean, when he saw those slippers neatly side by side right beside his bed, he was very, very unnerved. So that's my ghost story for Halloween 2020. I'm not telling a truly scary one. If you want to read scary stuff, read a book. You don't have to read one of mine. I can recommend 100 of them. If you want to read one of mine, I'll recommend one of those. But get into the spirit. I mean, why not? When November gets here, I'm watching Thanksgiving movies because I love Thanksgiving. Nobody loves turkey more than me. Nobody. Nobody. I will win, I promise you. And I love that day. I love the whole I don't know why. Honestly, I love Thanksgiving so much. I don't know why I love the image of fat turkeys and pilgrim hats walking around so much, but I do. I just do. And then Christmas comes along, and I really love Christmas too. I love the holiday season. That's the season. I am drinking water. I promise. It's water with lemon in it. So I'm very excited. You know, we're in the holiday season right now, and I'm happy and I love it. And I am trying really hard to ignore or not linger on the news and the goings on in the outside world because we're trying to stay safe, and I hope you're doing the same. And I hope you are able to take a little bit of time on Saturday to enjoy your Halloween. I hope you're able to get a handful of, those little bite-sized candy bars because they're so freaking good. And I hope that you are staying safe. I hope you're able to not linger on what's going on in the news. And thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this and get my mind off of it. And I will talk to you all later. I've got the remote. Let's see how many clicks it takes this time. So there's one. So let's see if it does it on two.